What advice do you have for students to give feedback and receive feedback?
Whether I'm working with professional artists or whether I'm working with young artists or students, we work within the understanding that criticism comes from love. It comes from wanting to see something reach its potential. As far as giving feedback, I think it's important for us to acknowledge everybody's voice is different. So the goal is you're not looking for echoes of yourself. You're trying to respect and acknowledge individual voices.
What is some advice that you've received over the years that still rings true?
One of my teachers would always fuss about, you have to be confident. He said, make the line. You're going to make this line, make the line. He wanted us to be moving, like he wanted the fluid motions of our work. The idea of doing things for positive feedback. He would call it strokes, like you'd stroke a cat. He would challenge us to not do things that we thought would get an immediate stroke. So that kind of forces you to think more deeply. If you're an artist that's amazing at this one thing, think about going beyond that one thing, because your go-to would be to do that one thing because you know it's going to give you positive feedback. You know, people are going to be like, oh, that's so good. You did that thing. If I listen to something that somebody says that feels like, okay, this is something that I haven't thought about before, I navigate and explore that a little bit more because I want to understand it.
It's okay to be sensitive, right? As an artist and feel that discomfort and see how you can grow from it.
Know when you're fighting against the criticism because you're being lazy. You know yourself enough to know I'm not responding well to this criticism because I don't want to work on this no more. I'm done with this. I'm exhausted and I just want to stop. As opposed to hearing feedback and really feeling like this feedback doesn't apply to what I ultimately want to communicate. That's the hard part about feedback, is when someone is criticizing you or that discomfort is showing you where you need to work a little bit harder on.
Can you tell us a little bit more in depth, like how you've developed your craft as you have evolved? What is the business of your art?
I think that's a super important thing for artists to think about, is how you surround yourself with people who help your brand or your work grow. No one's going to assign you value. You have to assign it for yourself. Your growth isn't going to just happen on its own. It's going to come by way of you working hard. If it is something that's new to you, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be a little bit daunting because you haven't experienced it enough. The way I get around that sort of nervousness is by just diving into it, knowing that I'm going to make mistakes, but allowing myself to learn. And the more time I put into it, the better I get at it. That what you do most is that what you do best.
I think it's going to be really exciting what we see students create and produce.